Hello, everyone. Sarah with sarahpacaro.com. Wanted to share some insight. I love coming on here live and sharing insight into client breakthroughs, client experiences, and particularly love when they share theirs as well. But there's this an indication of this awareness when we're at a particular point in life, at a point in life where we feel stuck, where we feel stopped, where we feel blocked, that we feel hesitant, we feel constricted, we feel restricted. Then we start to get into our head. We start to get into our head with the how and the way that things are going to work out. We start to question, we start to wonder. And all of those questions, all of those thoughts of wonder are connected to internal beliefs. And we can ask ourselves, how do I shift my beliefs? And we can read into books and watch videos about how to shift beliefs. But the experience in and of itself is one that's shifting. It's not one that's read about, it's not one that's watched about, it's one that's experienced through. Because the shift is internal, because the shift is internal and unconscious, how really becomes irrelevant. But so many people connect relevancy to understanding the how. And that can lead us down a lot of different paths, paths that are not directed for us, not meant for us, that are not really beneficial to us if we want to know how is this going to work out, and we're looking for this cookie cutter recipe to life. It's almost like literally a recipe to life. I was in service this past Sunday, and the pastor had a plate of cookies up there and was talking about this concept that there's a process to things. There's just like there's a process to baking cookies. And it was funny because he started throwing cookies out in the crowd and people were catching them and like talking about that. There's a process to this, and there's a magical ingredient. And in the service that he shared, that magical ingredient was obedience. And we're not going down that direction or path today, but there's this obedience, and in obedience there needs to become this awareness and a relationship to the awareness, a relationship to what we need to do, which is essentially obedience, is following what you need to be doing and following it through with action, not just with thinking. And so often we just get stuck in our head, and we get stuck in our head and we spin the wheels of how. And those are the things that when we do can keep us up at night. Those are the things that really can cause the most fright, because we start to get into I don't know how, and I just can't see a way. I don't know how a way is going to be made. But if we look back on our past and our own patterns in history, we can see that at all those times in the past, we didn't know how, but somehow we've gotten here today. So it's really not an indication of not knowing how or needing to know how, it's an indication of belief. It's an indication, which is an internal reflection of the beliefs that we can't see, the internal and unconscious beliefs, the things that we can't see, because we could see it. If we like see it, we would do something about it, we would fix it, we would change it as if it needs fixing or changing, which it doesn't. But that's connection to a story that it does, so that we can. Do you see that connection in the story? This needs to, so that I can. How do I? And then we just ping pong back and forth. And that's what feels like energetically. You ran this mental and emotional marathon. It was quite fascinating because I just finished connection with a private client, and she was telling me how exhausted she was right before we connected. Didn't get very much sleep last night, was really, really, really tired. And we spent 2 hours together. And she said, this is the wildest thing. I feel lighter. I feel like I'm not as tired, which doesn't logically or consciously make sense because it's 2 hours later than it was before, when I felt extremely exhausted, emotionally drained, and so tired. So I don't know what just happened, and a connection to the realization, here I am trying to figure out how. And so it's not that we want to know how, it's that we want to know that. And it's not so much that we want to know that, it's that we want to believe in that. I don't want to know how necessarily, it's that I want to believe in that. And there's a very big difference in the knowing how to do something and in the believing that something. And that's what we get to. That is the transformational experience, is the believing that and releasing and letting go from the story that binds your mind of how. I know it's just that how. how am I going to? Because we have an experience, a desired outcome, a result we want to achieve. And that's so easy to fall into that trap because we live in a results driven world, in an accomplishment based world, in an achievement based society. And so we match the expectations, accomplishments, and achievements that we either have or don't have. And then we compare them with everyone else's narrative and story, society's narrative and story, culture, society, or culture's story and narrative. And then we can feel this energetic push and pull, but what we really desire to experience being is at peace in our heart, at peace in our soul. It is so incredible, especially with the private clients that I work with. They get out of here and they like quite literally drop into here, quite literally drop into their heart, into their soul, and get into that energetic state of alignment. And then they often laugh and say, I don't know how you did that. And I laugh and smile back and say, me either. Because it's not a doing kind of energy. It's not a pushing. It's not a forceful kind of experience. It's an energetic receiving, opening, allowing the opening of your heart in the places it's been hardened, softening in those places so that the things that are out there ready to come in, trying to connect with you, are allowed to. And you stop energetically pushing them away or resisting them out of fear and out of lack of trust and out of disobedience. So, like, I know I need to do this, but. And so that but is like this energetic separation. And so when we deeply connect with that internally and unconsciously, that energetic projection resistance, you don't need to know where it goes. You just need to know that it goes, and you get to experience joy and peace and internal freedom in your soul, knowing that it went wherever it needs to go and not knowing that you needed to do anything to cause it. It was just this experience of being it. It's so amazing, so amazing. It's so freeing, it's so liberating when you allow yourself to experience this and understand you're probably at a place in your life where you're sick and tired of being told you have to do things in a certain way or you have to go back to the past in order to heal it. That is only true for the people that benefit you from you believing you have to go back to the past, because they can keep you thinking you need to keep going that direction. But that's not the direction that you desire to go. So why would you keep going that direction, a direction that's opposite of the direction that you desire to go, in order to go the other direction? But there are modalities, there are experiences, there are people that benefit from you believing that, because then you keep going to them so that you can receive that. And in that, you really limit yourself from experiencing the freedom that you desire, the inner peace that you desire, from feeling true trust and connection and integration with your soul and the direction that it wants you to go. It's been there for you all along. It's actually the embodiment of what you are, a spiritual, soul filled being in this physical form, in a physical manifestation, in a physical body. But you're not just a physical body. Just like you're not a nail, but it's part of your physical body, right? You're not a nose, but you have a nose. It's part of your physical body and being, but it's not the embodiment of who you are. The embodiment of who you are is the alignment with truth and your soul. And when we feel this disconnection, and we often feel it physically in our body because our body's trying to get you to say, hey, stop the direction that you're going, turn around, do a U-turn, 180-degree, go inward. You're trying to go outward. And a lot of times there's a sense of control. I can stop it from coming in. That was trying to heal me, steer me, and lead me the right direction. And if I can do that, can stop the pain, because I know I've been through pain. I've experienced it in my past and I don't desire to go through it anymore. Who does? So if I can just be in control, if I can be in the driver's seat, but there is so much freedom and liberation in letting go of the steering wheel and the illusion that you have control, and allowing your soul to guide you, allowing your soul to navigate, direct, and dictate. My recent private client, she asked me, how did you know? How did you get into this? Like, how did you know? Is this something you always wanted to do? And I laughed and I said, you know what? I went to school for teaching. I was a teacher. First year I taught third grade. And no, if you had told me, like, you know, when memories pop up on your phone, if you had projected like into the future, like shown me today, a future memory that I was going to be having 5 years from now, I would have called a doctor and said you needed to go to a loony bin. I had no idea. I had no idea that this was the direction that my life was going to go, and that this was the way that I was going to be able to really hold space for people and allow people to experience this internal transformation, and that they would have no idea how it happened, but that it happened. And because they were open to allowing themselves to receive the experience of it happening, everything transformed in their life. They became the change maker in their family lineage. They became the embodiment of the experience of this human existence, that we go through suffering, we go through pain, but the pain and the suffering does not define us. It does not create us. It cannot break us. It can try, but it will always fail to succeed. And it's through that that we get to the place where we realize I need to stop my old ways. And I choose to stop my old ways, and I choose to surrender. I choose to relinquish control, and I choose to go with the flow. I choose to really embody this beautiful gift called life and to be fully present with it and the things that matter. I choose to love and nourish myself. I choose to honor myself. I choose to love and nourish and honor the relationships I have and keep the sacred ones sacred and keep the close ones close and create and allow distance in the ones that need to go, all through love, all through the energy and the frequency and vibration of love, love for myself, love for others, love for this experience of life. And it all gets to be a part of the journey. And I laughed. I said, well, we would literally need what, 30, almost 38 years of time for me to tell you how I got here, because that's what time does. It gets us here. And all that there really is this present moment in time. The past is not in the present. The future will always be the future. So all there is now. And if you're really wanting to know the answer to that question, what you're really asking is what I see in you available for me too? I see the good in you. I desire to feel the good in me. And to really connect with that, I need to connect with my beliefs. My beliefs that I see and believe are your beliefs, but how could I ever know? Because we can't ever, right? We're only in this experience with ourselves. And a lot of times we lie to ourselves and say, oh, I know what they're thinking. You can't know what they're thinking. Even if they tell you what they're thinking, it may not be what they're thinking. They may have said something else and may be thinking something else. So we're living through life this lies most often, honestly, and we desire to live a life of true integrity and honesty with ourselves. And that takes really deep internal unconscious work to really connect to that, to energetically remove, release, shift, transform, and change what's happening within, so that we feel safe in its presence, so that we feel safe to be led by our soul, so that we trust to follow where it wants us to go, and that we go where our soul sends us. And if I hadn't done that work, I'd still be in the old paradigm of being told to do something, believing I had to do it that way or else. And that's such a fear, lack based, energetic mentality. And it's one that I used to have. And I didn't know that I have. And it's a part of this work is the deep forgiveness work, the forgiveness for the you that used to be that way. And it's such a beautiful experience as we really shed the layers and we remove the things that don't serve us anymore, that once served us then as a protective mechanism, as a barrier. And we really feel safe to trust our soul and where it's leading us and how it's guiding us, and to really embody this new relationship with it. A lot of times the word bind comes up. I feel like I'm in a bind. I feel constricted. I feel locked and I feel bound to this. And the word bind is not a bad word. It means connected, right? When we're bound to something, we're connected to something. How can you honestly say that if you were bound to integrity, you were bound to truth, you were bound to love, that that would be a bad thing and that it would lead you in the wrong direction? it wouldn't. But so often that gets a negative connotation, and we're like, I'm bound, I'm constricted, I'm bound to these thoughts, and they're holding me captive. They've taken me prison. And we use language like this. The language is a reflection of an internal experience. And so when you desire to deeply transform your internal experience, that's where you've got to go. You've got to go within. And you can't go there on your own. You can go so far. It's like putting your toe in the water, but you desire to be like an Olympic swimmer. There's not a single Olympic swimmer out there that got to be the best and the greatest by sitting on the edge and just splashing their toe in the water. And that's what this experience of transformational healing is. It's a full immersion into becoming the new you, the you that you desire to be, and a shedding and a releasing of the old paradigm, the old story, the old patterns, the old thoughts, and the old beliefs, and stepping into the new truth, stepping into alignment with your soul and allowing it to guide you where you already desire for it to go. So I would love to connect with you if this is what you feel called to. You feel called to really open up and to immerse yourself into this new frequency and energy. That which you see in others is a reflection of what you desire to experience within yourself, whatever it is. And for most all of us, it's safety, it's belief that who we are, where we are, as we are now in this present moment without needing to fix or change or to be another way is fully, completely, honestly enough as it is, as I am right here, right now, in the only time we have in this present moment, and trusting in what's to come, not fearing it. So when you're ready for that internal emotional shift and clearing, I would love to connect with you. You can find out more at sarahpacaro.com. Until then, sending you all the love. Bye for now.